All right, let's get straight into it. We're not talking about being book smart here. This is something else entirely. We're talking about a kind of intelligence that lets you see the gears turning behind the curtain. The real dynamics in any social situation, especially when the stakes are high. It's about finally understanding the game so you can never be played again.
You know that person, right? The one in the meeting who doesn't say much, but when they do, everyone listens? That's the vibe we're talking about. It's not about being loud or intimidating. It's a quiet power that comes from seeing things as they actually are. It means you can't be easily fooled, manipulated, or pushed around.
Now, I've got to give you a heads up. These 7 shifts we're about to go through, they're like a one-way street. Once you make them, you can't go back to seeing the world the old way. This isn't just about learning a few new tactics. It's like a complete software update for your brain. If you're ready for that, then let's begin. Okay, stage 1 of this whole awakening is all about the individual. Before you can understand the system, you have to understand the people moving within it. This is where we stop taking everything at face value and start looking at the cold, hard data of how people actually behave.
This right here is the bedrock of everything. Think about it. Words are just PR. They're cheap. Behavior, that's where the truth lies. So here's your first actionable step, your new daily habit. Start a private log. 2 columns. In column 1, write down what people promise you. In column 2, write down what they actually do. The gap between those 2 columns, that's your new source of intel. It will tell you everything you need to know.
I know. This sounds cynical as hell. But this isn't about people being evil. It's just human wiring. It's about survival. Deep down, every decision is run through a cost-benefit analysis of self-interest. And once you accept that, you don't get bitter. You get strategic. You can start predicting what people will do with terrifying accuracy because you're looking at their real motivator, not the one they announce to the world.
So let's reframe this. That colleague who threw you under the bus in a meeting, it probably wasn't personal malice. It was a strategic calculation to make themselves look better. And loyalty? It's not some magical bond. It's a temporary alliance based on mutual self-interest. The moment those interests diverge, the alliance is at risk. Your takeaway here is to build your partnerships on a very clear understanding of what's in it for them and what's in it for me. That's the only kind of loyalty that holds up under pressure. So once you can read individuals, you need to zoom out and look at the game board itself. Because the system, whether it's a company or an industry, has its own set of rules. And trust me, they're not the ones written in the employee handbook. This one can be tough to swallow because it goes against everything we were taught. But sitting around and waiting for the world to be fair, especially in a competitive field, is the fastest way to lose. It just is.
Look, your talent and hard work are the price of admission. They get you in the door, but they don't guarantee you win. The system rewards leverage, who you know, what you control. It rewards timing, making your move when everyone else is distracted. And yeah, it rewards a certain ruthlessness, the ability to make the tough call that benefits the mission, even if it's unpopular. So stop wasting energy on how things should be. Focus on mastering the game as it's actually played.
And this right here is Shift 4 in a nutshell. Look at the contrast. It's like 2 different realities. The powerless have to ask for permission. The powerful, well, they often just act and deal with it later. A junior employee gets written up for breaking a small rule. A top executive who breaks a much bigger one gets to negotiate the consequences behind closed doors. The rules are real, but their gravity is not the same for everyone.
And here's the core insight. If you follow every single rule to the letter without question, you are basically volunteering to stay in the powerless column. Now, this is not a license to be a monster. It's about developing the wisdom to know which rules are about integrity and which are simply about control. Your job is to understand that difference.
Okay, so we've analyzed the players and the game board. Now we turn the focus inward. How do you move through this world without getting taken out? This part is all about defense and strategic positioning.
Think about it. A stranger can't betray you. Only a friend can. In a competitive environment, your most dangerous rival is often the one who's the nicest to your face. They're the ones gathering intelligence, learning what you're afraid of, what you want. So be polite to all, but be strategic about who you truly trust. Trust is not a gift. It is earned through a long track record of consistent, loyal action, period.
I know we hear all this stuff about vulnerability is a strength, and maybe in a therapy session it is. But in the corporate jungle, broadcasting your weaknesses is like waving a red flag in front of a bull. Strategic predators don't see your openness as brave. They see it as an opportunity. an opening.
This slide is your new personal security protocol. So let's role play. You hit a major snag on a project. A colleague comes over and says, "Wow, you look stressed. Everything okay?" The old you might have vented all your fears. The new you says, calmly, "Just navigating a challenge. It's under control." You project competence, even when you're scrambling internally. Strength is a strategic asset. Guard it. And that brings us to the final and really the most critical shift of all. Shift 7. This is the one that pulls it all together and forces you to make a choice about how you're going to operate from here on out. This is it. This is the big truth. There are no spectators. There is no sideline. By saying, "Oh, I don't play office politics," you're not taking some moral high road. You're just forfeiting your turn. You're allowing yourself to be a pawn in somebody else's game, and they will gladly move you wherever it benefits them. Let that one sink in. Inaction is an action. Passivity is a strategic choice. And in any competitive arena, it's the choice to let someone else decide your fate. The people who actually make things happen, the ones who lead and innovate, they're players. They aren't waiting for permission. They are playing the game. So how do you become a player? You need to be two things at once. You have to be the fox, clever enough to see the trap when a rival says, "Why don't we just keep this verbal?" because they don't want a paper trail. But you also have to be the lion, strong enough to look them in the eye and say, "Great idea. I'll send over a summary email so we're all on the same page." The fox sees the trap, the lion makes the trap irrelevant. You need both. So, we've walked through all 7 shifts. But remember what I said at the very beginning? Seeing the world with this level of clarity, it comes with a price tag.
It can be a little lonely, to be honest. When you start operating on this level, you realize that most people are still playing by the rulebook they were handed as kids. They'll talk about fairness and take people at their word, and they won't understand your strategic moves. It feels like you're seeing the code, while everyone else just sees the pretty interface.
And you need to get ready for this. When you point out a legitimate risk based on someone's past behavior, or you question the hidden agenda in a proposal, you won't be called perceptive. You'll be called negative. You'll be called cynical. Get comfortable with that. Your goal is not to be liked, it's to be effective.
So, we land here. You have the shifts. You can see the board, the pieces, and their most likely moves. So what are you going to do with this? Are you going to use this knowledge just to protect yourself, to play defense and dodge the arrows? Or are you going to use it to advance, to create, to win, to play offense? The choice is yours, but the one thing you can't do anymore is pretend you don't see the game. Welcome to Clarity.